Emotional attachment is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Scientists cannot explain it. It is one of the most unpredictable and most difficult things to understand, because when a bond has been created between two people, there is something there that never really goes away. And for men, we're really good at compartmentalizing this, or we can be if we force ourselves. Women, on the other hand, they use that bond as if it is forever, as if it is something that they can come back to at any time. So what happens after your woman leaves, after your wife leaves you, breaks you, leaves you for dead, basically? And then a couple years later, she starts showing up in your life again. She starts calling you, starts seeing you, starts asking you if you want to get back together again. What the hell's going on there? Why is this happening, and what should you do about it? Let's talk about it. So when my wife left me, I was kind of taken by surprise. I mean, I knew that our marriage wasn't perfect and we had some issues, but we weren't like angry with each other. We didn't yell and scream. We didn't have those kinds of fights. It was all pretty down low for the most part, and it was really more about her just being dissatisfied with her life. And I just tried to fix it as best I could. And I guess along the way, my trying to fix it caused her to lose respect for me on some level, and made her think that she was somehow special because she had this man that was working to help her be whatever she needed to be. And I guess she thought, I'm just guessing here, that she could find some other sucker to do the same thing. Just at a higher level, Maybe that was her plan. Like she was just gonna find some other guy. I guess she would have been 52, 53 at the time, when she bailed on me. So not really in high demand, 53-year-old women. I remember back in the old days, there was this joke running around. One of my best friend's parents got divorced, and his mom had a great sense of humor, and she would drink a lot too, so that might have driven her humor. But anyway, she said, I'm more likely to be killed by terrorists. No, I'm more likely to be kidnapped, held for ransom, and killed by terrorists than I am to find another man at age 40. And I thought, that's crazy. I never even thought about that. But she was overweight and she wasn't that pretty. So I kind of figured that was probably true. That was probably the case. Anyway, so imagine my surprise when this woman who left me, for some reason, I'm not even sure what it is, something I think that happened like 17 years before, like it happened a long time ago. She's calling me. Yeah, she's calling me up in her moments of crisis to get emotional support. She wants me to help her out. And at first, I felt compelled to do it. I mean, obviously, it was like a reaction, because the urgency of the matter was so great that it seemed life and death, and she needed my guidance, my advice, my whatever. And you have to keep in mind, we have kids together, so there are still conversations that we have to have that are just unavoidable. So to have this conversation pop up was interesting. And then a month or two later, something similar happened. She was having a nervous breakdown. That's basically what it was. And she was, in a very bad, dark place. And she calls me again. And I try to talk her down. And in retrospect, I think I probably should have just blown her off right from the very beginning, because I can see how this pattern was developing. Because she did the same thing a couple more times. And it did finally hit me as to what was going on here. She was testing her power over me. She was, by recreating these patterns that occurred in our relationship, where she would have a crisis and I would fix it, throughout our marriage. And that happened, hundreds of times. And these were big crises sometimes. And I would be the one to step in and either help her find the right approach to it, or I would physically fix whatever was going wrong. And she was using that part of our relationship as a tool or as a tactic to see if she still had power over me. And I guess in that moment, she realized that on some level that she did, because I responded to it. Now it took me, I'm a little slow on the uptake here, sometimes. It took me probably about 6 months to figure it out, to figure that she was using these tactics as a way, at first I thought, to get back together with me. And she did ask me if I would get back together with her on a couple of occasions. But it was more than that. It wasn't just about getting back together. It was about power. It was about her having some influence over my behaviors. And this is something that I think a lot of women do, is they like to know that once they've ended a relationship, that they still have some control over the devastation they left behind. Like they still can go back and if not have the full relationship again, they can still manipulate that guy on some level. Now, I don't necessarily think they're doing this consciously, but I do think it happens a lot. Now, it may be conscious. It may just be pure female evil. I don't know. But it's definitely something that I've noticed, not just in myself, but in other men as well. So, why are they doing this? What's really going on behind the scenes here? Because it's really an interesting scenario. In one or two of our conversations, she would like to reminisce, go back over all the good old days, all the good times that we had together. And that's when I started pushing back, because she was remembering things that I had created, cruises or vacations or whatever, Christmases, family holidays. These are all things that we did as a family. There's no question about it. And she did have a role in it. But her memory of these experiences is completely different than mine, because I remember in almost all of these experiences her being sour. Either like on Christmas morning, just being grumpy because she had to get up early. We were up late the night before, and now she's grumpy because she's waking up early the next morning. Because our kids are little and they want to get their gifts, and we spent an enormous amount of money on presents. And so they were psyched, as they should be. It's Christmas, they're kids. That's what they do. It became clear to me that her tapping into those memories that were, generally good, especially with the kids, as a way to develop a rapport or relationship with me now, after everything that had happened, that's when I knew there was something disingenuous about it. I mean, sure, it's nice to reminisce about old times, but it sort of overlooks some of the major facts on the ground. You know what I mean? It was definitely putting a, lipstick on the pig, a little shinola on the shit. I don't know. It was definitely making it a lot nicer than what it actually was, because the events where she was talking about how wonderful some of our times were together usually involved some negativity with her. And she was talking about a trip we had taken to Dublin once, and we had taken the kids with us. And she was talking about what a wonderful time we had on that trip. And I remember very specifically her having a huge falling out with my then 16-year-old daughter about doing some stupid escape room. While we are in Dublin, she wants to go to an escape room. And my daughter's like, we are in Dublin, why would we go to an escape room? That seems like a stupid idea. And it was a stupid idea. And of course my wife got all bent out of shape. And she went walk in one direction and we went walk in the other. That was a big falling out. We're in this foreign city. We don't know where the hell we are. We don't know anything about the place. And she's just out there wandering around on her own. Yeah, it took about 2 seconds for her to figure it out and turn around and come running home. But anyway, I digress. But this is a method that women use to get inside your head so that they can take over control. Because I think what they really want here, more than anything, is it's sort of like the reverse of monkey branching. It's like keeping one foot on base while you're trying to reach for the other base. Or you want to have as many bases available as possible at the same time. And I guess men do fall for it. Men do end up in, allowing that relationship to manifest into something that is probably not in his best interest. More often than not, they get back together, and then she knows she's got him. Like if she comes back and he allows her back after she left, no matter how many apologies, no matter what happens, from that point forward, she pretty much owns him, and she knows it because she just committed the most cardinal sin in a relationship and then was forgiven for it and then allowed back into the relationship. Yeah, that's something that I would not recommend because she knows she can do it again. I mean, if she's done it once, she'll definitely do it again. If anything's happening that's not making her happy, you just better believe she's going to bail on you. I know it sounds crazy, but women like to believe that men they left can be an option for them in the future. Like it's a safe haven they can return to, even though they may have caused mass destruction in their wake. They like thinking that because they are so special that they can just return and reclaim the throne on which they once sat. Oh my God. I don't know where these ideas come from. I don't know how they come up with this idea that they have any right or anyone would want them back. But I guess it does happen enough. And it's because of that powerful force of attachment. That's our biggest weakness, guys. It's attachment. And it's not just guys, women have it too. But the idea that something outside of ourselves is necessary for our happiness, or we seek it for validation. Relationships are oftentimes just things that we do to seek validation. And if you've been with a beautiful woman and she's left you, you feel your self-esteem in the toilet, and then she wants to come back to you, well, it's probably natural to think that you're going to feel better, that she's going to reverse that decline in your self-esteem. Nothing could be further from the truth. She's going to drive that self-esteem of yours into the ground. Trust me, my man. She is not going to make you feel better. In fact, you're going to let her back in. Let's just hypothetically, you let her back in, and she's just going to run your life. Yeah. All the arguments she has now won because she left and came back. And you feel beholden to her. That is no way to live your life. Trust me, man. That would absolutely be the worst thing in the world. So even though it might be difficult, it is extremely important to keep exes as far away from your heart as possible. Do not allow them back into your life if at all possible. With kids, I have to have some level of relationship, but it's decreasing all the time. And and I no longer take her emotionally wrought calls. I no longer listen to her talk about wanting to end her own life. In fact, the last time she called with that, I told her that if she ever did it again, I would call the police and they would put her in a rubber room for 3 days while they do a psych evaluation and determine whether she needed to be institutionalized. But I am not going to be her therapist. I am not going to be the one that she thinks she can call just because we were once married. And she likes to believe that we were soulmates on some level. Well, soulmates don't do that to people. You don't destroy their lives and walk away. You just don't do that. So no, I'm just not buying that. It's just one of those. It's one of those ploys. It's one of those mechanisms. They know you better than anyone in the world, so they know what buttons to push, and that's why you've got to be extremely vigilant because you do not want to let this woman back into your life. You'll regret it forever. I promise you. All right, you guys, it's been a beautiful day out here today. Debu is starting to get better on the leash a little bit. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. If you've had any experiences like this, I'd love to hear them. How many guys have been reapproached by your ex? Like she has designs to get back into the relationship, and she's talked about rekindling things. That's a fun word. Rekindle. No, no rekindling. You burned it all down. There's no kindling left. It's gone. Anyway, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.